Hi, it's Katrina! From the world's tiniest and most colorful bird to the goofy and clumsy, here are 13 of the most adorable and cutest birds in the world. Number 13. The Goldcrest. This itty-bitty bird can be found throughout much of Europe, and it is one of the smallest birds in the world. It is the smallest bird in Britain and the second smallest in Europe after the similar firecrest birdie. Their population extends across to Asia, including the Himalayas and Japan. They weigh only about 5 to 6 grams, but are highly migratory, traveling seemingly impossible distances from Scandinavia and back to Britain, for example. If they get tired, they have no fear of landing on people to catch their breath. This pretty bird gets even brighter during breeding season. It is most recognized by its golden crest of feathers and was called the king of birds in European folklore. Its round and fluffy appearance makes it one of the cutest birds around. Number 12. Cuban Tody. This little bird gives hummingbirds a run for their money. They are brightly colored like gems that can fit into the palm of your hand. They only weigh about 6 grams and have a bright iridescent green upper body and wings with a red throat and pink at the top of their legs. Like its name suggests, it is native to Cuba and difficult to see since they blend in well with their colorful environment. The Cuban Toady will mostly eat insects, fruit, spiders, and even small lizards. For their nest, they will actually make a tunnel about a foot long in clay or in a rotten trunk with a little chamber at the end. Then they will fill it with grass and plants using a sticky substance to keep it all together. The eggs are then taken care of by both of the parents. Number 11. Bearded Reedling. Also known as the bearded tit, it is neither bearded nor a tit. It actually looks like it has more of a mustache and might be more closely related to the lark. It is a small orange-brown bird, and males are the ones with the mustache and a gray head. Females don't have a mustache. Makes sense. It is a wetland species breeding in large reed beds by lakes or swamps all throughout temperate Europe and Central Asia. The bearded Reedling will build its nest low down in the reeds on piles of stems and make box-type nests to try to resist any flooding. They can lay eggs about 4 times a year, laying 4 to 8 eggs per brood, which helps their species to survive in their risky environment. There can be saltwater inundation, flooding, snow, all kinds of things that can wipe out entire populations. Luckily, they are holding on. Number 10. Fairy Wren. Fairy wrens are famous in Australia for their practically electric coloring. Like their name suggests, they are like bright, glittery fairies flying around. These beautiful birds are much loved for their quirky personalities and are often found in gardens all over the continent. They are a cooperative breeding species and will defend their territory year-round. New research has revealed that the males will sing to their eggs so that when the chicks are born, they can recognize their parents' unique song. Known as an incubation call, it becomes a type of password so that when they have hatched, the parents can identify their babies. Why? Because a species of Australian cuckoo lays its eggs in the wren's nest, hoping that the other birds won't notice. Then they end up feeding their chick instead, which is usually much bigger, and their own chicks might starve. With this special password, parents can be sure that they are feeding their own chicks. Number 9. Long-tailed tit. The long-tailed tit is often called the flying lollipop, with its tiny round body, fluffy feathers, and long, thin tail. They are a common bird found throughout Europe, mostly in woodland and shrubby areas, parks, and gardens. They make a lot of noise, chirping away in flocks so you will know that they are there. It helps them keep in touch with each other as they move through the trees. They are very social, and if a couple has trouble raising their own young, others will step in and they will share nests. Since they are so small, they are easily affected by harsh winters, and sometimes birdwatchers in the UK have even noticed a 50 to 80% decrease in their population when it gets really cold. Number 8. Pygmy falcon. The pygmy falcon is the smallest raptor in Africa. They are super cute and super fierce, literally. I don't mean their style. They are only about 7.5 inches long, max, which is just as long as a pencil, but with beautiful gray, white, and brown fluffy feathers. This teeny tiny predator packs a punch. Pygmy falcons are not afraid to chase predators larger than themselves, especially if they are protecting their babies. Like other raptors, they will hunt from a perch and then swoop down to catch their favorite food, usually lizards or rodents, birds, and insects. Pygmy falcons are notorious for their habit of stealing other birds' nests, especially weaver nests such as the white-headed buffalo weaver or sociable weavers. They will lay their eggs and share with the weavers until the chicks are big enough to leave. In exchange for the crib, the falcons will protect the home from snakes and other predators, so it's a win-win for everyone. Unless the host birds don't need them, which in that case they are just nest pirates. I said they were cute, not necessarily their behavior. Number 7. Eurasian Hoopoe. The hoopoe has been admired by us humans for a very long time. They were sacred to the ancient Egyptians and Minoans, and one was a special messenger for King Solomon. The hoopoe was also named the wisest bird in the world by a Persian poet in 1177, and it was also a symbol of virtue. They have been admired for centuries not only due to their good looks, but also because they eat many creatures we consider pests. As their name suggests, they are native to Europe, Asia, and northern Africa, and are officially called Upupa epops, maybe because of the sound that they make. It can be easily recognized due to its bright orange crest on top of its head along with zebra-striped wings. It has a very sharp beak it will not hesitate to use as a weapon, and it is so strong it can even open its beak in the ground as it jabs around for insects. They like to sunbathe by lying on the ground and spreading their wings and tilting their heads up relaxing. Around breeding season, males will joust and fight, occasionally blinding each other. Once a female is impressed, the couple will remain monogamous for that season. While they are beautiful, impressive birds, don't get too close to that beak. Number 6. Black-capped chickadee. This little chickadee has a tiny body and is as cute as its name. It looks almost fluffy with a big head and gray, white, and black coloring. The chickadee's tiny black eyes are shrouded by its black cap of feathers, hence its name. It always looks like it's wearing a hat. Actually, I think all chickadees are charming. You'll find the widely distributed black-capped chickadee in forested and shrubby habitats as well as weedy fields and cattail marshes throughout much of North America. Almost anyone can agree that this curious tiny bird is indescribably adorable. This species flies in flocks, crossing roads and open areas one by one with a bouncy, distinctive flight. The black-capped chickadee has an equally small but cute brain, so to help it adapt to social and environmental changes, neurons containing old information die every autumn and are replaced by fresh neurons. That sounds kind of nice and refreshing. Black-capped chickadees have complex calls that vary depending on their purpose, like communicating with other flocks and alerting each other to predators. It's not unusual to spot them in parks and residential neighborhoods, and it's easy to attract them to feeders, although they only stop to grab some seed before taking it somewhere else to eat. These birds, who also enjoy peanuts and insects, also stash food in hiding spots for later on. Number 5. The Atlantic Puffin. The Atlantic puffin is the only puffin native to the Atlantic Ocean. It tends to be solitary during the autumn and winter, which it spends in the open ocean, and breeds in colonies during the summer on the rocky and sparsely vegetated shores of northern countries. Actually, over 60% nest in Iceland. The reason they are called puffins is because they puff themselves up to get warm, and when they fight. They aren't that big of a bird, reaching less than a foot tall and weighing a little over a pound. These black and white birds are best recognized by their bright orange, yellow, and black bill. Their thick downy feathers make them look rounder and puffier than they really are. Two puffins fighting will make themselves look even bigger by raising their feathers, making them more intimidating to others, but cuter to us, don't you think? Despite the species' wide range, it's listed as vulnerable on the International Union for the Conservation of Nature Red List, as its once abundant populations rapidly declined during the 19th and 20th centuries due to the overhunting of eggs and adults. The Atlantic puffin remains threatened primarily by introduced predators such as rats to nesting territories. They tend to be monogamous and have a special little ceremony where they will rub their beaks together before they nest. Puffins will usually go back to the same nest year after year where they take care of their single egg. The baby puffin is called a puffling. They are even cuter. Number 4. Northern Sawwhet Owl. This owl might just be the cutest owl out there. These are small owls roughly the size of a robin, measuring 7 to 8 inches long, but has a much bigger wingspan ranging from 16.5 to about 19 inches. It has a large, super round face and huge golden eyes. It is super adorable, unless you ask the mice and small mammals it preys on, that is. It's one of the most common owls across northern America, and during the winter it lives throughout the entire US, but this highly nocturnal species is rarely seen. It can be heard during quiet evenings between January and May in the evergreen mountain forests of northern and western North America when it makes a sharp, high-pitched call. The northern sawwhet owl weighs very little, about 75 grams, or about as much as a standard baseball at the most. This species preys mainly on deer mice, devouring adult prey over the course of 2 meals. New mothers care for their nestlings until they are around 18 days old, while the father does the hunting, After that, the female leaves the nest to roost elsewhere, and the male continues bringing food to the nestlings, who also receive help from their older siblings. Not surprisingly, while females keep their nests very clean, once they leave, the nest tends to get messy. Number 3. Bee hummingbird. A list about the world's cutest birds wouldn't be complete without the smallest species on Earth, the bee hummingbird. It's endemic to Cuba, meaning you'll probably have to travel there to see one up close. You're most likely to spot a bee hummingbird on the edge of a forest, among vines and flowering plants, but you have to look close to see it because it's so small. The bee hummingbird grows to just 2¼ inches long and weighs 0.07 ounces or 2 grams. That's less than a US dime, and not even half the weight of many other hummingbird species like the ruby-throated and rufous, according to the National Audubon Society. The bird's nest is about the size of a US quarter, and each egg is merely the size of a coffee bean. The bee hummingbird flaps its wings about 80 times per second during a regular flight, and up to 200 times per second during a courtship flight. In a 2015 interview with Wired, ecologist Bo Dalsgaard of the University of Copenhagen explained the bee hummingbird's exceptionally tiny size, which makes it more competitive with insects than other birds for resources, like nectar. These birds better watch out for bigger insects, or they might get knocked out of the way. Number 2. Adelie penguin. Today's award for the cutest bird of the world's southernmost latitudes goes to the Adelie penguin, a carnivorous Antarctic species that breeds in colonies numbering as many as several thousand. The black and white Adelie penguin is the smallest species in the Antarctic, but it is still kind of big, reaching over 2 feet tall and weighing between 8.5 and 12 pounds. It also lives quite long for an avian species, with an approximate lifespan of 11 to 20 years in the wild. While they do waddle around and look a little clumsy, they are known to be aggressive and won't hesitate to slap a seal or a large bird right across the face with their flipper. The bird's diet consists primarily of shrimp-like krill and other tiny aquatic creatures like fish and squid. While it typically hunts in relatively shallow waters, the Adelie penguin is known to dive as deep as 575 feet in search of prey. This species is built to swim like other penguins and will easily travel as many as 185 miles round trip for food. The male Adelie penguin will build the nest to attract a female. Only the biggest and the best will do. They use small rocks and will even steal rocks from their neighbors if they have to. Both males and females look after their eggs, taking turns sitting on top to keep them warm and protect them from predators, and couples raise their young together. Number 1. The Blue-Footed Boobie. The Blue-Footed Boobie has a silly but appropriate name, at least when it comes to the male's conspicuously blue feet, which the bird uses for performing a fancy mating dance to attract females. The bluer the male's feet, the more attractive he is to females. This species lives off the Central and South American coasts, as well as the Galapagos Islands, where half of all breeding pairs can be found. The Blue-Footed Boobie grows 32 to 34 inches tall, or nearly 3 feet, and has a wingspan of nearly 5 feet. It weighs roughly 3¼ pounds. This species lives longer than many birds, surviving for 17 years in the wild on average. Blue-footed boobies nest at night on land and spend their days in the air hunting for food, sometimes in groups. You may be surprised at where the blue-footed boobie and other boobies get their names from. No, it's not what it sounds like. It's believed that the term actually derives from the Spanish word bobo, which means stupid or dumb, and is exactly how early European colonizers viewed these poor, clumsy birds. Thanks for watching! Which bird was your favorite? Let me know in the comments below, and be sure to subscribe if you haven't already. See you soon! Bye!